Okay, we are recording now, sir. And Chair Garcia, are you looking? Did you get a chance to take a look at the text that Chair Garcia Acosta sent to you?
No, no, did he just send it?
Yes, no worries. He told me to read it
All
if
right.
I can. So him, Lisa, our DC Osmus, and IG are on a call right now. They're doing a debriefing of the officer involved shooting. So they're in that call and they'll try to get to this meeting as soon as possible. That's the first thing. One of the things that he said he'd like to focus on for this meeting, and she said the main thing we need to accomplish tonight is hearing OPD's feedback on the additional community recommendations. IG captured the most important part of City Council's recs, and OPD is agreeable to that. So no need to discuss that. Just need to get a pulse on what things they can do that community and Corelli are asking for. That way we can include that in the draft we do with GHS, and we can negotiate the rest later if, yeah, that's pretty much what he said there. But then he sent something else to you and I. Okay. He said a couple of thoughts going into this meeting. The LA policy is better than OPD's proposal. Low bar. It talks about neutrality, but also talks about protecting federal agents. How are you going to protect agents that you are not coordinating with and don't know the protocols they are functioning under? It talks about attempting to ID officers, but doesn't say what to do if they provide ID, as if it's a performative request. It appears to say that LA officers will stand aside while observing a potential crime if they have not confirmed the perpetrators are federal agents. Number two, Denver. The discussion about investigating crime separate from any other investigation is good. Number three, the judge's position that it should be left to individual officers or officers to determine if they think someone claiming to law enforcement really is wait if they think someone claiming to law enforcement really is makes no sense. I'm not sure what he means with that. ICE agents are erratic and poorly trained. What are the indicators? It's unfair to the officers to provide no direction. Number four, Beer has precisely said that they will not get involved unless a member of the public is about to be killed. How do you know in advance that someone might be killed? Seems like something you only know afterwards. This is an incredibly low bar, and they might as well just say, stay away. They might as well just stay away. If they won't investigate crimes nor protect residents. Okay. Five, are they really proposing someone is breaking down the door of a house, refuse to identify themselves, nor show a warrant, and OPD will just watch? So those are some of the things that he threw out there. At least we have them memorialized here on the call. But he wanted me to share that with you, Chair. And
Okay. Did you circulate the agenda, Micah?
yes, it's in the email. Let's see here.
Okay, let me.
And Corelli provided another
Yeah,
proposed one.
I see that one. I'm looking for yours though.
It's in the same email chain. Let
All
me
right, let me.
again. Raise. I'll forward to you again. Give me 1 second. Where is Corelli?
Okay, that's the first one in the chain, right?
That is correct.
Okay, that's why I
He's
missed.
responding to mine.
Okay, all right.
Got it?
Yeah, I do. All right, well, let's get started. First of all, thank everyone for being here. Um, we've got a number of things on the agenda right now. As to item one, Inspector General recommendations. Uh, I think we covered that yesterday, confirming the recommended policy revisions and discussion of any other technical changes. I'm not sure there's much we can or should do on that. It's been sent to our council to get started. Does anyone want to weigh in on any of that? okay? Uh, let's go next to outstanding policy issues. Um, this is kind of a sticky one. The issues raised are what should OPD do if federal immigration officers are suspected of committing a crime? What guidance should OPD officers have regarding crowd control, traffic control, and public safety during immigration enforcement? And what guidance should officers have for identifying, documenting, and recording interactions? Has everyone seen the LA Sheriff's policy? That's a question.
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay, and how about from any of our other uh, ad hoc committee members? Have you all seen that?
Yes.
Okay,
I have not.
all right. I took a quick look at it and I actually thought, and I'll ask Deputy Asmith to uh, weigh in on this and then open it up to the other ad hoc committee members. I actually thought that the sheriff's department did a pretty good idea of setting out what uh, the obligation, responsibility to identify uh, ICE agents is, and it did it in the context of you contact the supervisor to find out what's going on, and you basically take it from there, as opposed to going up to each agent that may be engaging in something and asking for their identity, for example, while they're trying to effect an arrest. I think the sheriff's policy, the way it's written, makes good sense because if you have a police agency, any agency, whether it's ICE or whether it's Berkeley PD or Highway Patrol of San Francisco, if they are coming into the city to engage in an enforcement action without notifying the local agency, that's a problem in and of itself. And I think we're on good, solid ground if we have something in the policy similar to the sheriff's uh, policy. I thought it was very well thought out, I thought, and that is something I could support. Uh, Deputy Asmus, you want to weigh in, and then we will go to Ms. Salto and any of the other uh, participants.
Absolutely. And Judge, I usually never correct a judge, but it's Osmus. The A is an O.
Osmus?
Osmus, yeah.
Osmus, okay.
Trust me, for the rest of my entire life, it has been that nickname for many years, so it's okay.
Okay.
So, even speaking, just with reading it and looking at the sheriff's policy, I agree with you, uh, Commissioner, that I really do like the way they kind of spelled things out. We did the same with our officers and our sergeants. If you are going to a potential ICE immigration call that you believe or you suspect by whatever the details are, we ask that they notify their sergeant, who will then notify the watch commander to respond as well. However, that doesn't always happen. So if they find themselves responding to a call for service and it ends up being an ICE or an ICE operation for whatever reason, they're to immediately activate their PDRDs and ask for their sergeant to the scene as well. But I think we could codify that in the policy. I really like the way the sheriffs put it in there just to kind of help out.
Okay, any comment from any of the other ad hoc members? Mr. Wood, unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm done. There's an accountability provision in the sheriff's policy. I just found that and took a look at that. And is that something you agree with as well?
You'd have to, I'd have to call it up and look. I did read the whole thing, but I'm not sure what you are referring to. Let me see if I can pull it up, okay?
There's,
And Commissioner Wood, we have the same thing. Mr. Wood, we have it where any interaction with ICE or any I don't know, any enforcement act, anything that occurs with ICE, then we write a memorandum to public safety and present to them as to
and
what was the scenario, what were the conditions, why did it happen, what had happened, what was the response. So almost like a little mini after action report.
I have a historic question, and I should have asked this a long time ago. Anyway, um, when I was working on the city refuge ordinance, I came across policy 415. Is that still in effect?
It technically is, but the policy that we're working on now, sir, is replacing it.
Okay.
So just a little bit of background in case anybody missed the initial meeting with Chief Beer. When we presented this policy, the immigration policy we had or currently have, it was under the Lexapol 415. When we presented that with police commission, just kind of explaining with the city ordinance and the administrative instruction, Commissioner Jackson Chastain actually found a paragraph that was removed that she was like, this is very convoluted. When would a chief ever authorize interaction during a civil immigration operation? We would never, it violates our policy. And she was absolutely right to point that out. So we removed that. And when we removed that, Chief Beer, I'm with Chief Beer. I don't like Lexipol policies. And we've been trying to just overturn them as we get through them with the many policies that we have over the years. So this is the one, this is it now. So 415 has been put into the new DGO 010. And that's what we're working with now. So just a little bit of context.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Okay, does that address your issue, Mr. Wood?
It does. Thanks.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Salto, would you like to weigh in on this?
Yeah, thank you. As I mentioned in the last call and in my email, I want to hear from OPD their reflections to the recommendations submitted by Councilmember Wong, as well as the letter submitted by the coalition. And some of the things we've talked about already, but some of the things we have not. So I want to make sure that we address that.
Okay, can I suggest that what we do is go through the LA sheriff's policy quickly, see what we want to adopt from that, get that done, and then we go immediately to Councilmember Wang's. I don't think it'll take that long to do that, but I think we have a loose consensus that call it the identity or whatever provision that we want should some pretty much parallel the Los Angeles County Sheriff's. And I'd like to at least get that over to our council at the end of this meeting. So there's that provision. There's let's see. There's another one here. There's another provision for the second part of the section entitled Deputies has a number of bullets just before documentation and reporting. And those all seem to make sense to me also. They seem to be pretty well thought out. And I would not be adverse to having our council incorporate that into the policy. And I'd be open to comments from either the commissioners or Deputy Chief Osmus. Any thoughts?
Commissioner, I agree. And then on the last bullet of page 2, I actually really like the way they put that out. So I actually I would like to see that go in there as well. So the deputy should clearly communicate to members of the public the department is not involved in the immigration enforcement and is present to ensure public safety. I actually really like that in communications with whoever our community members are on scene. Like just reminding officers to explain that.
Okay, I don't have a problem with this section either.
Yeah, no, I don't have an issue with it either, and I think it helped really explain things.
Okay, anyone else want to weigh in on that?
I don't have a problem with it, and I do appreciate the communication and the clarification of what OPD is doing live. So I think that is helpful.
Okay, Mr. Wood or Maloof?
Is the policy that which is identified on the sheriff's page with an FAQ?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I haven't seen this, and what I was looking for when I searched for it, I found a summary of the sheriff's policy, single sentences with a FAQ following. Is that what you're talking about?
Maybe we have the policy included in the Google Drive for the ad hoc committee documents.
Okay.
If you don't have that, we could add that to the chat.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay,
There is
are
a
there any other
question
sections from the Los Angeles policy we want to consider for adoption in Oakland?
on the piece of de-escalation. Can you talk about Deputy Chief how OPD would de-escalate potential violence?
I think for me, like when I look at this for the de-escalation part of it, is I think this is where when we're communicating with our community members that we are not a part of the immigration, that we're not a part of this operation, we're trying to allow for First Amendment rights to have a voice, express their First Amendment rights. I think that's huge. I think we need to reiterate that over and over as part of the de-escalation, but also making sure that our community members are safe and they're not being interpreted as interfering or trying to be aggressive or anything else. So I think that would be the other side of the policy to protect our community members, that they're just voicing their First Amendment rights and our ability to try and help protect them during that. So I think those two would go hand in hand, right? Making sure that ICE doesn't misinterpret anything as best to the best of our abilities, right? They're here giving their First Amendment rights. They're not engaging. They're not getting involved. And then that also reminding our community members, please don't engage. Please don't act aggressive. Please don't give that demeanor or what they might perceive as that demeanor, right? Just kind of help, hopefully, right? Because again, obviously emotionally charged. Obviously, everybody has feelings, but I want to make sure that those ICE agents can't interpret my community members as being aggressive or trying to cause any issues. So I think that's where a lot of that comes into play and what we try and really explain to our officers, reiterating those components.
How would OPD de-escalate when the violence is coming from ICE agents?
It's going to depend, and this is what I believe Judge Garillo or Commissioner Garillo, I can't call him commissioner, I just call him judge. So anyway, this is what we're getting into. So we are always going to respond to calls for service, right? We are always going to make sure that our public is safe. If this ends up being an ICE operation or an immigration scenario, then we'll bring our supervisors in or our supervisors are en route. Now, we always also have a duty to intervene just by our use of force policy. So if things are so egregious by ICE that we feel that our community members are in danger or life threatening, then we have a duty to intervene. And we need to do so, right? Now, the hard part of this is at what level do we not intervene and what level do we intervene? Is it a minor crime? Is it not a minor crime? And a minor crime, I mean, like, I'm not even sure how to explain this. Anything less than a lethal interaction, we want a body worn camera. We want to ask for the ICE agent supervisor on scene, speak with them, try to identify all their people that are on scene. And then we write a report, turn that over to our DA and to our city attorney. And that's also in the administrative instruction as well. I hope that helps, but I'm not going to be able to. I know we get a lot of what ifs and what if this happened. It is going to be very dependent on what officers are seeing, what level of egregiousness there may or may not be, what is happening, right? And then we're going to have to explain and write. Obviously, that'll be a report to public safety, and then the DA and the city attorney will work on that aspect of it.
Can we include some of that in the policy?
It,
Wordsmith in the way that makes sense around.
it is in our AI policy. Let me look at it real quick, and can I take that as like a deliverable, just so maybe we could figure out how to word it? And Judge Gruhl, I don't know if maybe you can kind of help out with that too, because again, we get into that fine line.
I think the big picture is you have to include guidelines with a sufficient level of generality to allow for discretion, because we can't sit here
Right.
and predict everything that happens. I'm comforted by the fact that Deputy Othmus says that there are, in fact, situations which are so egregious that some type of response would be required. I don't know that we can set those out,
Right.
you know, just a whole list, because I think at that point, we it can almost become a handicap or handcuffs, and it also looks very much like we've uh, set it up so that the officers, have to intervene and can't exercise their discretion. And I don't think we want to go down that road.
Right.
Anything else, Commissioner Salto or Mr. Wood?
Just taking a quick look at the sheriff's newsletter, it looks good, but I think that as a macro for what it is that OPD will do and will not do, we should use the uh, ordinance language that's going to be passed on Tuesday. And that is that OPD employees should not provide law enforcement assistance. OPD employees shall not detain an individual. OPD shall not respond to a federal immigration officer's notification. There are 5 elements of the new ordinance. And I think that perhaps becomes the structure for the sheriffs, and then everything that flows from the sheriff's policy is based upon what the law of the city of Oakland will be on Tuesday.
And that was in the last council meeting, correct, Mr. Wood? That was like the first reading, I believe.
Yeah, first reading, the second reading is Tuesday.
Tuesday, right? Okay. And I'll actually try and they should have it on the Gravitas as part of the documentation, right? Appendages, I believe. I think they have appendixes. I'll pull it.
Yeah,
I'll find it.
it's difficult to read because they have the original ordinance in there. Then they have notations about what amendments are. There's not a clear written ordinance of what they're
Okay.
going to. Yeah, I'll try to get something to you about that.
Micah, do we have a copy of the most recently read draft ordinance?
We do not. And I was just saying, I'll see what I can find now while you
Yeah,
guys.
I'd like to take a look at that, because I'd like to the extent possible, make sure that what we're deciding here is going to be consistent with the ordinance.
Right.
And I'm not sure that the police commissioners had a chance to weigh in on that, unless I just missed it. Do you know?
They have not.
Okay. All right. I'd like to get a copy of that. All right. I am thinking that we should give direction to our council to incorporate elements from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's policy, specifically the ones under the category of deputy and documentation and reporting. I think that's pretty non-controversial, and give our council direction to incorporate those into the draft that she's preparing. Any thoughts on that? Is anyone willing to move that?
I do want to note that IG there, Maloof has had his hand up.
Did you have your hand up, Maloof?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just want to kind of say something about ICE. So ICE over in general has a duty to follow local laws. And if there's an incident where ICE is violating local laws, then I don't know if this should be in the policy or not, or at least that OPD is aware that they can report it to the DHS OIG, Department of Homeland Security, Office of Inspector General, which is an independent body that investigates crimes within the department, including crimes that ICE is doing. So that might be something you might want to add to the policy. Thank you.
Okay, you have any suggested language on that?
Not off the top of my head, but I can definitely draft something relatively quickly.
Why don't you do that and send it to Natasha, and she can take a look at that. All right, do we have either a consensus or a motion to give our council direction to incorporate the deputies section and the documentation and reporting sections into the draft she's preparing to the extent that it's consistent?
Yes, and I'm also wondering if there's anything in the other sections, like the watch commander, that we should look at or adopt.
You know what? I think there probably is, but I know that we want to get to Councilmember Wang's points too, and so I was kind of maybe backdoor cutting off the discussion so that we could get to something else. But if you want to keep discussing this, I'm fine with that.
I want
Yeah,
to point out that Bridget Ruiz Revezo's note that she's going to get the most recent version from city attorney of the city refuge ordinance and then circulate that.
I missed that, Mr. Wood. Could you?
Yeah, there's a note from Bridget Ruiz Revezo from Councilmember Wong's office that she's going to get the most current version of the city refuge ordinance from city attorney and circulate it to the group.
Oh, I see it there. Yes, that's great. Thank you, Ms. Reviso. Okay, do we want to keep talking about or just spend a few more minutes on the sheriff's policy before we move to Councilmember Wang's, or do we want to move to Councilmember Wang's policy immediately?
I would love to hear from OPD whether the other sections, like the watch commander and I'm not sure which other like if those do any of those resonate with OPD?
So they do. They actually happen organically, just because we do put that in. It does go in our daily log. It goes. We call it a daily notification report that goes to the chief. But the chief's always well. So when ICE or DHS does notify us, and they are in our city, that goes through and goes to the mayor as well. So she gets those notifications too. So it kind of happens organically. But just talking with my policy person next to me, Officer Kwan, there's no issues to actually kind of spelling it out for everybody so everybody knows what to do, things like that, right? So I don't see any issues. I don't see anything that's like, holy cow. Again, a lot of this just happens. It happens organically just through our other policies. So
I would urge us to be on the safer side and put it in writing. We want to have policy and not just practice. So if there are no glaring red flags from OPD or from the members of this ad hoc, I think we should just look at the entire policy itself and adopt what resonates for us in Oakland.
Okay, well, let's look at the supervisor section very briefly.
You do have a hand raised from the community.
Okay.
Take that. That's Miss Jenks.
All right. Ms. Jenks?
Yes, sir. So I just
The chair recognizes you.
thank you, sir. I just first of all, in terms of the focus on the city of refuge language, what we heard from council members, including Council Member Wong, is that they are were limited in what they were allowed to do, that they were told that they were getting into directing staff. And that's why Councilmember Wong came to the police commission. And her staff has also said, and she said that she's tried to raise some of the issues that we're trying to raise. and she was kind of told to restrict herself to what is in the City of Refuge ordinance. So that tends to really look a lot at city staff and city buildings. And her staff even told me that the amendments specifically really were not intended to address OPD, but were intended to ensure that other city staff, civilian staff, had very clear direction. So while the City of Refuge ordinance is important, it's not crucial to what we need to discuss, I would argue, here, because it really isn't OPD related, and that's even what council has said about it. The problem with the LA language is that the identification, they're only identifying, they're doing ID, they're not asking for warrants. So you literally have a situation where unidentified people are breaking into a house and they're alleging that they're law enforcement and they're alleging that they have a warrant and they're not being asked for it. There's also not the instruction about what to do when you are given credentials or identification or a warrant in terms of making sure that you're documenting that on your body-worn camera. This focus on like telling people we're neutral, when you're looking at language in the LA situation, which is not neutral behavior, you're kind of setting up for something that is, kind of this, you're doing something at the same time your actions clearly contradicted. If you look at the LA language, it talks a lot about maintaining public order, and that's focused only on the crowd. That's not focused on the federal agents. So you literally, what we have seen in other communities is situations where agents throw, a incendiary device into a crowd. The crowd throws it back just to get it out of the middle of them, and they get arrested for having thrown an incendiary device. That's what happens when you're only enforcing on the crowd and you're focused on maintaining public order, but you're not enforcing the folks, as other people have mentioned, who are often inciting the situation. So when you try to tell people that you're neutral, it's very clear that this is not neutral behavior. This is the behavior of people who are controlling, and even DC Osmus is talking about this, where you're trying to convince the crowd not to react to inflammatory behavior from the other side. And we've seen many, many videos of ICE officers spraying crowds with, some chemicals. And if the OPD reaction to that is don't react to that, that is very clearly assisting ICE and enabling ICE to behave in ways that are illegal and are
Well, let me ask you a question, Ms. Jenks. Let's say an OPD officer saw a ICE officer spray something into the crowd in a way that certainly appeared to be illegal under state law. What would you propose that the officer do? Go arrest him?
I think that there are things that you can do short of arrest.
I'm not asking about things. I'm asking specifically, what would you propose the officer do? Go arrest the ICE agent?
And I'm attempting to answer, sir.
Pardon?
I'm attempting to answer that question.
I can't hear you. Were garbled.
I am attempting to answer that question.
Okay,
sir.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I would like to hear that the policy is that the officer walks up to that agent and says that is illegal. We have state and local laws, and as a result of multi-million-dollar settlements, we have learned that it is not legal to assault people that way, and that behavior needs to stop. I need to document it. Give me your ID, et cetera, and just you take it as far as you can take it. But in terms of the LA, ordinance, or the LA newsletter, I guess it is, it is a troubling basis upon which to start our policy. And the other thing is that I'm still interested. I think that at the beginning of the meeting, there was a question about asking OPD what their position was on the issues specifically that have been raised and the questions that have been raised. And I haven't really heard that, and I'd very much like to hear that.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I would like to get to Council Member Wang's memo. From the members of the ad hoc committee, is there any other provisions of this sheriff's policy you would like to have sent over to our council and to our legal counsel to have adopted and incorporated into the policy consistent with the ordinance?
I would just say that we document the organic processes that Deputy Chief mentioned so that there is clarity and there's zero ambiguity around what happens. And I look forward to reading that, and then we can go from there and amend as needed. But documenting what happens can help us and the public understand how OPD responds to these incidences.
Okay, so should I take that as a motion that this LA Sheriff's policy be sent to our council for review and incorporation into the policy that she's helping to write?
Yes, second.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, it passes. Okay, good. All right, Natasha, you have some further marching orders? Yes, Mr. Wood.
I have a motion that the draft city ordinance be sent to council to incorporate it as well.
Which city?
City of Oakland, City of Refuge ordinance that passed city council first reading a week ago.
So what's your specific motion?
Motion is that that ordinance be sent to council to incorporate into his draft. As with respect to the provisions governing OPD.
I think we could certainly do it by motion, but I would rather just at this point, since it's not passed and it's still in flux, I'd rather just indicate to council that we would like her to look at that when she's doing this, because I don't know what this, I haven't seen it myself. And as I understand, it's going to change between now and Tuesday, or potentially could change.
It's not highly unlikely. The mayor's holding a press conference on Monday, the day before, announcing the ordinance. So I think it's pretty well done. And the vote a week ago Tuesday was unanimous, 8-0.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are you suggesting again? Restate it.
That we send the ordinance that Bridget is going to circulate to us, that we send the ordinance to council to incorporate that and to take into consideration the draft that he's preparing.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, and all in favor? Okay, reflect that the chair is voting in favor also, no opposition. All right, Natasha, you have your marching orders as to this. I'm not trying to push you here, but I want to move us on to.
I'm sorry, Chair. I just have a clarifying question
Sure.
on both motions. On motion one related to the LA Sheriff Department's policies, it is in its entirety. I am taking it as any places in which we do not have conflicting language. We are to add the language from the LA Sheriff's Department policy to ours. Is that correct? Thank you. And then as to the second policy, and as to that first part, I also understand that the Inspector General will provide a few sentences related to the point that he made that you accepted as well.
That's correct.
And then as to the refugee policy, That I have not seen that policy yet. I'm sorry, or that ordinance yet, but I understand I'm assuming it has something that relates specifically to the Oakland Police Department, and that those sections of it should be incorporated in the general order. Is that correct? Could you provide me more
Run
guidance,
that
please?
by me again, because that one I didn't follow when you said it.
So, and maybe Mr. Wood could help us. So the policy that is being adopted by city council anticipated to be adopted by city council next week. Are you asking that I incorporate it in its entirety into the OPD policy? Is
Now,
that the request?
no, section 2.21.040,
Section 2.2.
2.21.040, entitled
Thank you.
Additional Prohibitions for OPD Employees.
Okay, thank you very much. That's helpful.
Yeah.
All right. Not to be pushy, but let's get to Councilmember Wang's memo, and it's going to take me just a second to pull that one back up. Oh, darn. Okay, I have Councilmember Wang's memo here, and
What you're looking for, sir?
pardon?
Is this what you're looking for?
I have the memo that you provided with your email. That's what I have.
The memo? Okay, let me see if I can pull that up for you. Give me one sec.
And while we jump to that, I know we need to do that because time is of the essence. I do want to just clarify in the motion. I'm seeing Ann's comment around OPD doing crowd control to protect federal agents. We also talked about adding language that Deputy Chief talked about, the response that OPD should take when the violence is coming from the ICE agent, and sort of all the caveats and all the things that need to be added, but in a sort of making sure that that doesn't get lost in the next iteration of this policy. So not just crowd control for community, but also reaction to what happens when violence is on the other side, and what is the protocol and the process for that.
Okay, I think what Deputy Chief Osmus said was, as a practical matter, unless the conduct of ICE or whatever agency it is rises to the level where an individual officer has a duty to respond to it. In other words, it's clearly illegal. To take a contemporary example, someone has their knee on someone's neck and they're killing them. That would be a clear example. You can back up from there as to different examples. And I use the George Floyd example purposefully. Then the duty under the policy and the ordinance is to document and obtain information that can be used later, either for a complaint to ICE, for a local prosecution if there's room to do it. Notwithstanding the federal agencies, officers, limited immunity. That's what I understand.
No, I completely disagree with that. If we have an officer who is seeing an ICE agent with their knee on someone's neck or back, you're saying that they're not going to interfere?
No, I'm saying that would be an example where there would be a duty that arises to do something. Okay.
Correct.
A police officer can't watch another police officer kill someone without
Yes.
justification. You can't do that. That's the clear-cut case. But you can't sit here and try to posit every possible scenario where that could
Yeah,
happen.
I was not suggesting that. I was not, I was
Okay.
saying whatever the approach is, that needs to be part of the policy.
Okay, well, we have a motion to send it over and to get it started. If you want to bring that up in some other context, you can, we have a few minutes here. You can bring it up now and see if you can make progress on it, or you can save it for our next meeting. But hopefully we'll have a draft of the policy where we can go over specifics.
Yes, all I was attempting to do is ensuring that that piece of the conversation doesn't get lost, because it's not part of the sheriff's policy, but it is something that we talked about here. So that's all I was trying to do here.
Okay, I understand. Do you want to go over, Commissioner Salto, you want to go over the Wang memo? Just give us a quick synopsis of it. I have it on my screen. And in addition, I note your screen sharing now.
Sure. I will admit I don't have the context for this, and I do know we have a staff member, I believe, still from Councilmember Wang's office. So I would maybe invite Ms. Bridget if she's able and available to provide context. But as I understand it, is these are recommendations for this ad hoc consideration. I know some of these recommendations were included in the Inspector General's memo that we discussed yesterday. So I don't think we need to go line by line, but there are some things that I haven't heard being addressed. And that's where I think we can focus our limited amount of time. But I wonder if it's okay with you, Chair Grillo, to invite Ms. Bridget, if she's available and able to maybe come online and provide any additional context that is necessary for this ad hoc to consider before passing it to OPD to walk through any reactions that they have with the pieces that haven't been addressed.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, I would be fine with I'm not aware of the items that the IG included in their memo. So if you want to let me know which items that you would like that you have questions on, or like you said, there is a time constraint. So I'm not sure the best way to go over this if you guys have already included some of these items already.
Let me see. I have looked at this. I'd like to look at it a little more. I think on uh, some of the specific recommendations to strengthen policy, there needs to be some tweaking of language just to make it clear or consistent. For example, on standardized warrant language, explicitly define the difference between a judicial warrant and an administrative warrant. I think that's good. I think it's necessary. And I would go so far as to strengthen it and say that OPD will not aid in the assistance of enforcement of an administrative warrant without a judicial warrant. Now, I say that having had some experience as a judge where administrative warrants would issue and there was some issue enforcing them. They bring it to me and I would look at it. And in some cases, I'd look at the administrative warrant and say, yes, you can enforce that. And I'd issue a judicial warrant. In other cases, I would look at it and I'd say, no, this is not a good administrative warrant. You can't enforce this. And so I think, we want to make it clear that layer is there.
Councilmember Wong is in favor of you guys wanting to strengthen, anything as you, to move forward with strengthening things. So I would concur that is a very important element to that.
Okay, great. There's a couple of other things, I think, and I won't go into it now, but in restricting joint task forces, I think we need to make it clear where the difference between civil, immigration enforcement and criminal. I think we need to make that a little bit clearer, because I don't think that if it's a bona fide criminal task force, and not a subterfuge for civil immigration enforcement, I don't think we want to shut that door. And we could perhaps hear more from Deputy Osmith on that. Here's the one which I think needs to really be looked at. There's a 2-block rule proposed, and it indicates that officers notify the Alameda County Immigration Legal Education Partnership. And I don't know what that is. And I don't know whether there is, whether it's almost a standing issue. What is this group, and why would they be notified?
They are the county like hotline for informing of the presence of federal immigration in the city.
Okay, is this something that's sponsored by the county, or
Yeah,
is it
it's a county. Yeah, it's county.
Okay, all right.
And it is often the main hotline number that is given in many of the Know Your Rights handouts that have come from government entities, CBOs, etc.
Okay. My suggestion, without knowing more about it, my suggestion would not be to keep the language in that says activates community advocates and legal aid in real time during surges. I think that potentially puts the city at a legal disability if ICE or the federal government should come after us or try to have an excuse to, bring in the guard or whatever. I think it would not help us with the courts. And right now, basically the federal district courts and most of the appellate circuit courts are the best friends we have. We have no friends in the federal government. That's just a fact.
Right.
I would maybe figure out a different way to say that. And other than that, right now, I'd want to think about it some more because I just saw it today. But other than that, I don't have any, thing that jumps out at me.
And just Brillo, if I could, just for 2
Sure.
seconds and add to that, I'd also like to not have that for OPD to do, because then kind of along the lines of what you're saying, if I notify community members that ICE are involved or about to be involved, then I am notifying and declaring that they're in the city or interfering basically with their operation, which I think is what you're kind of talking about. But maybe because the mayor's staff also gets these notifications, maybe that they can do their civil side of it if they would like to notify.
Yeah, I mean, there's a potential problem there. That's, but I don't think we're going to resolve it today. I just wanted to flag that.
And I will say there is precedent with the city notifying the public that ICE is coming. That happened in 2016, 2017 with Libby Schaaf. I was part of her administration. I'm happy to provide additional context there. We didn't have any legal action. It was not a problem, frankly. But I hear you, Deputy Chief, in terms of like who is the right stakeholder to make this announcement or informational sharing. And I also think there's a question of like, what is the purpose, right? A CLIP, again, I'm personally very familiar with it. That was something that we supported back when we were in the mayor's office. And they are, all they do is sort of monitor and provide legal aid support to communities who are in the line of fire, so to speak. If we wanted to go down that road and have a representative from a CLIB to hear more about what they do and how they engage with that, I'm happy to help bring them here. I don't know if that's where we want to spend our time, but I do think there is something about Oakland being a sanctuary city that protects its residents and is active in sharing information, but I also recognize the legal implications here. So I'm not sure we're going to resolve this here. And I also know we are at time. We said this was an hour ad hoc. So looking to you, Chair Grillo, to see if we want to go deeper line by line or if we want to table this for our next discussion.
What's our next discussion scheduled, Micah?
That's what we have to talk about. You guys only chose 2
Well,
for this week.
my suggestion would be that we try to set one more meeting for next week. At that time, we should have something from our council, and then that'll give us time to review council member Wang's memorandum in a little bit more depth. Again, my concern is we have to be on multiple tracks here. One of the tracks is what do we do to protect our residents? And frankly, the other track is what do we do to protect the city, the generic city, from the federal government, because they have shown themselves not to be the friends of cities who are sanctuary cities. And there's a couple of different tracks to that. One of the tracks has to do with the events which happened on the street, the enforcement actions. The other track, if we think ahead, is we don't want this to be written in a way or to say things in a way which, if the federal government was so inclined to try to find an excuse to pull federal funding from Oakland, we would be handing it to them on a silver platter, particularly if the funds that they would be pulling would be directed towards our police force. I don't want to see that because they're unfunded already. That's just some food for thought. Do you want to try to agree on a meeting date now?
A question about the time frame. I know we have a window to get this done, and how many days do we have to meet that deadline?
We have to agendize this on Monday. So I need
To the
whatever
full police commission?
Yes. Our due date is August 5th. The last time to have this discussion to vote on it or reject it, whatever you all are going to do, is the meeting on the 23rd, which has to be agendized on Monday. So I would need any documentation, including the write-up from legal and any supporting documentation you all want to provide the full commission by this Friday.
Considering all the things that need to be discussed and all the work that needs to happen, is there a possibility where the recommendation of this ad hoc is to ask the commission to maybe decline or to vote down the policy so that we can restart the clock and have more time to do all the things that we want to do?
That's kind of above my pay grade.
Well, if I could.
Let's hear from council first.
Thanks. I do understand that in recent policy work with OPD related to pursuit, I believe, I wasn't staffing the commission on that. OPD was like very healthy discussions and conversations were happening, and OPD did withdraw the policy. That did allow the work to continue and then resubmitted, and then it was I believe approved. So I don't know if the deputy chief would like to speak to that.
I would, but can I look it up, and then if we can extend it? I don't necessarily have an issue, even if we put a timeline on it. I don't want this to be the sexual misconduct policy or the discipline policy that's 2.5 years in the making, because hopefully by then we won't have this issue anymore with national leadership. But with that being said, let me see if we could just kind of come up with, I don't know how to extend it yet, you guys, so I'm gonna have to review and figure out how to do that. And if there's any issues, or is anybody else gonna, come at it from some other way. So just let me look it up and I'll try and get back to everybody as quickly as I can. Because I get it, we're all on a time rush. So
Can you give just a general sense, if you can, DC Osmus, of whether the things that everyone has mentioned tonight are amenable to you? Do you think that there would be any challenges with adding anything, or is it kind of like everything makes sense? We could consider actually including it.
But I will say, Micah, we haven't discussed everything yet. We still have the review of the full recommendations of
Yeah.
Councilmember Wang, the coalition's letter. We also have the Denver policy that we haven't talked about yet. There's so many different elements that we haven't had a chance to discuss.
Okay.
Well, look, that's the reality. The other reality is we need to get something up and something going that is for the good, even if it's not perfect. That's my feeling. And I don't know if there's some way we can agendize this so that it considers our council's recommendation, and then you also consider the other two items, the CPA and Councilmember Wang's letter in open session. You just say, we'll consider that in open session. So it's agendized and we can talk about it. It's just it doesn't come with a recommendation from the ad hoc committee. And that way we get it done.
I think we need to do this right. The stakes are too high for us to miss critical things. I don't know on the OPD side if there's an urgency to get this done, but if we can get another month, I agree with Deputy Chief. This should not be a year or 2 year process, but there's just so many other critical elements that we have to consider for Oakland. And I don't want to rush this. I'm not in support of that.
yeah,
You have a
I
hand
just
raised? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lisa.
sorry. I'm sorry, Micah. Yeah, I can't remember how we did. I might just get a hold of Chair Garcia. We might just have to have a phone conversation afterwards to see. The only rush is I do want to have a policy out there. So, right, because otherwise we're still working off of other things. So that's my only rush. But again, I agree that it is important. I want to make sure all of our community members are heard. Do our best to get that. So is there any objection if I try and put everything together and have everybody look at it, or just let everybody have their say?
What was the proposal, Deputy Osmond?
I can try. So what I can do, Judge Grillo, is try and take all of the Coalition for Police Accountability, take the new Sanctuary City Refuge Ordinance, our city ordinance 9.72, I believe, which about federal task force, and kind of put everything together with the LAPD language, and just see if I can get something together in the policy so you guys could see maybe roughly what it would look like.
I don't have a problem with that as long as you work with, whatever our council is coming up with.
Yes, and sorry.
I also don't have a problem with whatever you come up with, we put before the police commission on the 23rd for public comment, because as long as it's agenda sized, we can add to it or subtract to it at that time.
Okay.
Based on input that we receive.
Okay.
And one of the, in my humble opinion, one of the problems with the whole ad hoc process is it detracts from the police commission's role as not just as an oversight role, but as a public disclosure role. And I don't have any problem, putting this before the police commission as a whole, even though some would argue that it's, politically, that's not the smartest thing to do. But I don't have a problem with it.
I do.
So we do have a community member. Could we hear from Millie before going any deeper on this?
Sure.
Thank you. I just want to say two things. I think that this idea of having to rush is not responsible. As a member of the public and listening to this, I'm asking you to reject OPD's policy proposal. You need to do this correctly. And I also want to remind people that the purpose of the police commission is to develop policy for the police to assure that their practices respect the constitutional rights of the public. It's not to make sure we protect the officers. That's not the primary function. The primary function of the commission is protecting the constitutional rights of the Oakland residents. And I think there's a lot more discussion that needs to happen. And I'm asking you to reject OPD's draft. Thank you.
I don't reject anything I haven't seen, and the rejection or the acceptance of that is something I think should happen at the police commission. So I will talk with Chair Garcia and see what he wants to do. My preference would be that we get what we have before the police commission for discussion, and if at that point we want to reject it or continue it or whatever, we can. But I don't want to be in the position where there is nothing up for consideration, because that suggests that there's no accountability for why nothing came before the police commission. That's not acceptable to me. You know, we had a sexual harassment policy that was bouncing around in ad hocs and in the city attorney's office, and nothing was happening with it until, guess what? We said, this is coming before the police commission for consideration, whether you like it or not. And then guess what? Everyone weighs in and it's fine. Let's take a vote on it. And I don't want to wait 2.5 years on this.
I think we're comparing apples and oranges here. Immigration is the issue of our time and the issue of our city. So to clarify with Deputy Chief,
Some people would say that Oakland police
excuse me, I have
officers
the
raping a
floor.
teenager
Deputy
was an issue
Deputy
too.
Chief Osmus, how soon would you have these revisions? And then a question for Chair Grillo, would those come back to this group, or are you proposing that the revisions just go straight to the commission? So Deputy Chief, how soon could you have these?
I could probably try and have it done by Friday. And I'll try and get it done in the morning, working through it. I'm trying to look at my calendar for tomorrow and see if I can't clear a bunch of things. Just the morning half looks a little crazy, so maybe I can get through it in the afternoon. And I'll have Officer Kwan helping me as well. But I will take all of the information that we have in the file folder just for edification. So if there's something in there, I will absolutely bring it in and try and do my best. And then I think IG Maloof, I know it's a little bit of a timeline, but maybe tomorrow could you try and get just that DHS OIG information? I could throw that in there.
I'll send that over to the OPC attorney tonight.
Perfect, thank you. And then I could include that because I think that would be good, just information to have in there, like you were saying.
So with the policy being ready by Friday, Chair Grillo, are you suggesting that it just goes straight to the commission and that we don't have another meeting here with this ad
I'm suggesting that
hoc?
it be agendized so we can discuss it at the commission, because if it's not agendized on Monday, we can't discuss it.
Right. So would this committee have a chance to review the updated policy?
What this committee could do is review it post hoc and then make a recommendation to the commission, the whole commission, as to what they thought about the policy, and the commission could consider that.
So when we would meet on Friday or on the weekend?
No, we'd meet next week sometime. Maybe the next police commission meeting is on Thursday. We'd meet on Tuesday or Wednesday and come up with a recommendation that would go to the full commission for the Thursday meeting.
And I
Will there
think
be,
you won't be able to agendize anything after Monday in terms of your recommendations. So you would be able to speak to it,
Yeah, I
live.
understand that, but the committee could weigh in on what was agendized.
Of
so
course.
will there be an opportunity to make recommendations or changes after its agendas?
Could the committee, and Michael, please don't hate me for suggesting this, but could the committee meet on Monday so that the agenda item has the input of the committee prior to it being agendized?
If it was in
Like
the morning,
like at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning? Is that what you guys want to do? I mean,
Not really.
yeah, I don't think you guys want to do that. It's not that it's impossible, but it's very challenging because it has to be put together from all different places, and I have to make sure I don't miss the deadline to post. So if I can't do anything until after you guys have this meeting, and then you have to make changes or anything like that, that really pushes us up against the wall.
Okay.
Council, I don't see any reason why the ad hoc committee can't meet after Monday to review what's been agendized and then offer its comments to the full commission.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be, it's just you would like, so DC Osmus has offered generously to help pull all of it together. I've also been assigned pulling lots of parts of it together, right? Even if we are able to merge that document, then I am assuming and need your direction on will go to Micah for the agenda
Right,
prior to this committee having blessed it.
that's
And I
correct.
need to know that that is okay with you, because typically you would have done it
No,
with a different order.
but we then look at what has been agendized and we say yay or nay or some of this and some of that. That's our recommendation
Yeah, you'll be just doing it live
in a public session.
in public session, yes.
Right. Commissioner Salto, does that sound like it would work?
Frankly, no, I think we're rushing this. And I hear the need to have something. Having an extra month
All right,
would
well,
allow us
I'll
to
tell you
have
what,
the
I'm
feedback
gonna talk to
needed.
Ricardo and I will exercise the chair of the prerogative to tell Micah that you get that agendized on Monday. Ricardo is the chairman of the police commission, president of the police commission. He can overrule that. Right now, I want you to set a meeting for Tuesday or Wednesday, Micah, find out when people are available, and it will give everybody on the ad hoc an opportunity to weigh in and to present their comments publicly on the 23rd.
Ad hoc participants, are you available at 5:30, same time on Tuesday?
I am.
Corelli,
Yes.
Lisa, Zervon,
Yes, ma'am.
I think
Michelle.
I am, Micah, but if not me, then I will have Officer Kwan here. I have council meeting, and one of my items, it's on consent, so I shouldn't have to be there. But if they pull it, then I'll have to run over there. So
Okay, James, you're good with that?
I'm at the same city council meeting. I don't know when the city of refuge is going to come up, if it's going to stay on the same.
Will Alba be able to take your place? Maybe
She's going to be there as well.
she's gonna be there as well. Okay, majority can meet at 5:30 on that at that time. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule that for you all for Tuesday, 5:30, post ad hoc to discuss what has already been agendized for the meeting on Thursday, so you can get a game plan together of how you'd like to direct the commission or recommend the commission on Thursday.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
And that is, I'm trying to imagine what this is going to look like to the public. That we put something up and then we say, oh, well, we really didn't mean that. We want to add this. We don't want that. And I think that's sending the wrong message to the public about the importance that we give to this, the priority that we give to this. And I think that we really, however we do it, we got to do it with our best shot, rather than walking in and stumbling all over ourselves at a hearing. I like the idea, and it's kind of seems like it's kind of dropped to me, but I like the idea of pursuing a way of getting this on the agenda, dropping it, and then coming back in a month.
I don't know. Is that a possibility, Natasha?
No, so as the ordinance is written, it doesn't allow for any automatic way. The commission does not have the authority to do it. You have a 120-day deadline. That deadline is August 5th. July 23rd is our last commission meeting prior to the deadline. And all your authority is under the ordinance is a yay or a nay, right? Now, you've had an experience in which, because the policy was formally withdrawn, then the police therefore the commission didn't have a policy on which to opine, and therefore, it came back and it was beautiful. But the ordinance doesn't speak to that, right? It doesn't allow, the charter doesn't speak to that process. It is silent there. It is a practice that has occurred and has been successful. So there is an element of risk in that. But it would really be, kind of up to OPD. And not something that can be directed by the commission. The commission doesn't have the authority.
But there is
Okay,
a
well-
possibility where the commission could have a special meeting before
Correct.
August 5th.
That is right.
So
That is
that's a
right.
commission question, availability, etc. If we were to keep within this time frame, then there will need to be a special meeting. Otherwise, we're kind of in the pickle that we're talking about.
That's right.
Hi, everyone. Let me jump in real quick, and I really apologize for joining the conversation late. Another level one incident that I was with IGM, and then I had to take a couple of city calls after that. And happen to be with 400 kids at Great America right now, so not an ideal place to be taking a call.
Ricardo, you have to
Yes.
talk slower. Your line's a little garbled. At least it's garbled to me. Can you talk a little slower?
Gotcha. Yes. So I'm catching the tail end of this conversation, but it sounds like there would be two options. I don't feel comfortable completely rushing this. I would think if we're gonna work on a policy to present to the commission in its full breadth, and I agree we would have to have a special hearing so that we could focus a hearing specifically on this prior to our 120 deadline. I also have heard some suggestions, and I don't know, if this is another option, but if, similar to the way we did with the pursuit policy, if there are some things that it sounds like based off of IG's initial review, that there's a couple of things that OPD would be amenable to including in and making revisions into the policy. And I'm wondering if they were to produce a memo to OPC, basically telling us that they're going to work on including some of these things, and that they would run it through OCA and then resubmit to us, would that restart the clock in that way? And then that would give us some time to talk about some of these more complex issues, but at least the baseline, we know that there's some immediate revisions that everybody agrees that can go into it immediately.
In other words, you're asking OPD to rescind their policy, correct? With a memo explaining why.
I think that could be an option if OPD would like to consider that. I don't want to directly ask them to do that. Yeah.
We will definitely consider.
Ricardo, I think you need to unmute.
Sorry about that. The chief just stepped away real quick to talk to Chief Beard on the phone. I think between what we've been discussing, that does seem like a very good possibility. In order to extend the time that we have to consider all of the things that we've already talked about and give us some more time to discuss the things that we haven't actually reached in conversation yet. I believe that's what Chief Osmus would say at that point. But if you don't mind just waiting a moment, she's still on the phone with Chief Beer, so it's something that we would definitely consider, though.
Okay, Ricardo, you're the chair or president of the police commission, so the final say is in your hands. My suggestion was that we get what we have and what we receive from OPD by Friday agendized, that we hold a another ad hoc committee meeting after it's agendized, and then we provide whatever additional comments we have to the police commission in open session. That's one alternative. Now, your alternative was what?
I think it could be very similar theoretically. If we received a memo, we would agendize that with the memo, and then in that conversation, be able to talk about the things that we all agreed on, that they're gonna go back and just at least be baseline, and then have an open discussion of other considerations that the ad hoc needs to discuss in future meetings as we tease out some of these other nuanced issues.
Okay, so where are we procedurally in terms of what do we do? Do we just all go home and nothing happens?
No, I believe, Chair, that we will, DC Osmus is committed to pulling together lots of parts of this conversation. I will try to connect with the deputy chief just because I think our assignments might be duplicative, and just to try to be in sync. And then have that by Friday morning, to the best of our human abilities, so that it at least is agendized in that format, and then whatever else the OPD decides to do, we could do it. Then I do think your next alternative is a later, a special session of the commission, which could even be decided on the 23rd. Right, so let's say you're close but not there. On the 23rd, the commission could decide to hold a special meeting prior to August 5th.
So we can have our cake and eat it too. We can see if we can get it done by the 23rd. If not, we do a special meeting of the commission before the 5th to get it done then, and that gives us time to insert some ad hocs there.
Mhm.
All right, so let's do this then. Micah, let's get this agendized and let's get a meeting set for the ad hoc next week. And if it's not something that we can resolve in time for a vote on the 23rd, we'll take Commissioner Garcia's suggestion and just plan on a special meeting of the commission before the 5th.
Deputy Chief Osmus is back. I don't know if she had something to say.
No, that's the correct way. I'm trying to look it up in the charter, and that is the easiest way, just to go through the special meeting.
So
Okay.
instead of trying to agendize, can we all agree, or you all, the commissioners, that there will be a special meeting so that we're not rushing to get another session and trying to squeeze it all in?
Are you talking about special meeting of the ad hoc or of the police commission?
Of the police commission to approve the final recommendation by the deadline.
I would defer to our counsel on that as to whether or not we can right now say there would be a special meeting. If there can be a special meeting, then let's go ahead and get one on the record.
So I just have one thing to consider. We have a very, very lean commission, and we have no guarantee that we can gather all commissioners in between our next meeting and the 5th for a special meeting. So we'd like to have one, but there's no guarantee that we can. So I want everybody to consider that. If we do not agendize it for the 23rd, then we've missed our shot.
Yeah.
Well, let's do a poll on that too in terms of availability, so that when we have our ad hoc meeting next week, we know what the potential availability is for a special meeting.
Yeah, and I think for if we're not meeting between now and Friday, then I think you do not want to take the risk of not agendizing this for the 23rd, even if it is just to reject to agendize a rejection, because you don't want to just not take action, because if you don't take action, then it implements.
DC Osmus, could you share anything about your conversation with the chief and where he stands on this?
Sorry, not even a close conversation, and no, it has nothing to do with this. Sorry. Completely different topics.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm not in support of rushing this, for whatever that's worth. I think we need more time, so I would respectfully ask OPD to rescind their proposal so that we have the time that we need to do this right the first time. that's where I stand.
Okay, all right. Well, Micah, you got your marching orders. Let's get it agendized and let's get the special ad hoc committee meeting set for next week.
Okay, I will start with getting the meeting set. If
All right.
after the meeting, if Chair Vilio Grillo, Chair Garcia Costa, and Natasha, if you wouldn't mind hanging back, please, after the meeting, that would be very much appreciated.
Okay. All right. I think we're done for the evening. We're about a little more than a half an hour over. I'd like to thank everyone for staying and for expressing your views in the spirited discussion. Do you want us to call you, Micah?
No, I'm just going to stop recording on this and we can continue to have this discussion.
All right.
Just note that you also have public members, so just be sure that you have the right people on your call.
They'll be removed.
Thanks.
I'm removing everyone.
Now, who is this discussion supposed to be? I still see.
There we go. We have
Michelle Kwan is still here.
Let me remove Kwan.
Okay, Natasha's
Where's Ricardo? Is Ricardo not here? Oh, I needed Ricardo. That's who I needed. Second. Okay. Let me see if he can join.
The recording is still on.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you.